I freaking love comics, but I fucking love comics.
I'm Marjorie Liu, and I freaking love comics.
Hello, I'm Chris Claremont, and I freaking love freaking comics. You got a problem with that?
I'm Todd Bernardi, creator of Kukui Project and Disco Thunder Groove Bone, and I freaking love comics.
Comics, movies, TV, video games, anime, your powers combined. I freaking love comics.
Live with Judo and Robo.
Okay. What's up, IFLC? This is Judah Rad. I'm here with Robo over there. I think he's over there.
Yeah, wait, just so you guys know, we already did this, but we're going to do it all over again because I forgot to press record, and it's going to be funnier the second time.
Oh, geez, why do you do that? All right. And then down there is Rhiannon. This is a very special episode because it's the quarantine special. Oh, look, touching fingers. This is the quarantine special. So we are all kind of just barricaded in our homes, trying to avoid this terrible virus that we're pretty much doing what you guys are doing. Only
mustache flavor saver. Yeah, that's why.
Me too.
He's got the mustache. As you can see, I've also lost my mind with my totally rad Pikachu hat. So you know,
that's good.
What we thought would be a good idea, since everyone's kind of cooped up and losing their collective minds, is to go over some of the best comics, video games, movies, TV shows that you could be reading and enjoying while you're stuck with your miserable families or just by yourselves, whichever it is.
Oh, yeah.
So
IFLC, the quarantine special.
Quarantine special. Can we get a graphic that appears right here, like with like a thud, like quarantine special?
Yep, but it's gonna be, if I do it, it's gonna be like a Microsoft Paint kind of deal, where it's gonna be like a 3-year-old did it. Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so who's gonna go first? Who's gonna tell us about the magic of?
Well, you actually just reminded me, if I can jump in, Robo. I finally watched Far From Home. I finally watched it, and I loved that, like, cheesy, I know I was so behind, that cheesy, like, put together, they had like a Getty Images overlay on like their news presentation, the students, and I was like, that's probably going to be the level of our production value as well until we get some.
Let me tell you something, if we can get it to that, I think we're winning. I think we're winning.
Winning, baby.
Goals. It was an amazing movie, by the way. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun.
That was pretty awesome.
Nice. Do you recommend it?
I do. I would. If you haven't, I think what we're planning to do is by the end of today, I should have a post on both our Facebook page and the website that gives you a Marvel Cinematic Universe watching order for both release and chronological, depending on which way you want to do it. I don't know which way you guys prefer.
Nobody does release.
Interesting.
Nobody.
I do release. I literally do release.
Oh no! Robo's the exception to the rule.
When did it come out? And because, like, here's the deal about release order. If you do it release order, then all the post-credits things, and I still watch them. Now they all make sense because each post-credit deal is talking about the next deal.
But if you do release order, then you have to time jump. Like right before Endgame, you have to jump back to the 90s and watch Captain Marvel.
My brain works that way.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
it'll be interesting to see if we get any comments, from viewers seeing, because I think there maybe will be a mix of people. Like, I've watched them in release order, but I haven't watched them chronologically yet. So
I want to fight about it, but we're running out of time. So that's we need to get more into that later.
For sure.
So hey, I'm just gonna kick this off. Here's what I got here. I got some of the trades that I some mostly newer stuff, some older stuff, but these are the trades that I think you should be reading while you're cooped up in your homes during this 2020 quarantine. So without further ado, I'm going to start with an oldie but a goodie. Punisher Max, the complete collection. So this is volume 1, and there's 7 volumes. 5 of them are by Garth Ennis, and then the later volume by Jason Aaron and other writers. But
Love both of those writers.
I mean, this is hands down the best Punisher content in existence. I think any Punisher fan, I don't think there's a single Punisher fan on Earth, a single one who would say that there's any better Punisher than this. This is the apex of Punisher. But I mean, it's grisly, violent, dark. If you liked Game of Thrones with all of the just graphic carnage, you're definitely gonna like this. It's tragic and it's badass. Wish fulfillment fantasy. And if you're sitting at home and your dog just keeps barking and your family just won't shut up and you're miserably stuck in during this quarantine and all you want to do is go to Walmart, but you can't because people are coughing on you, this is really, I'd say, a good rage outlet during this kind of enraging time. You guys have anything on that?
No, but I will say that you hit what I missed the most about Outside Life. Like, you just nailed it. Fucking Walmart.
Yeah,
Walmart's what
I'm
I've
telling
been
you,
missing
man.
in my life. So do you want to loan me your Punisher Max series so I can give it to you in about a year and a half?
In about a year and a half, like, and then by then you're gonna have to order me a new one because it's damaged.
They're all jacked up. Here's the real reason why. So here's the deal, and I hope you guys, if you guys don't bring it up, I will. Alias is another great one, right? Were you planning on bringing up Alias at all?
Bring it up.
Anybody?
Talk about it.
No, I'm saying, you guys gonna bring up the book? All right. So Judah loans me Alias. He's like, you got to read this. I tell him, like, I'm not really into real stories, like adult books, and I like superpowers. I like cosmic world-ending stuff, right? I like Infinity Wars. But he's like, look, you got to try Alias. It's a great story. It still has some superheroism, but it's really not about that. It's not just the
just to confirm for everyone, this is Alias by Brian Michael Bendis.
Right, the Max series, right?
Released under the Max imprint, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do this. He gives me all 4 volumes, and I take them with me everywhere. By the way, like, I'm like,
I love them
in my backpack for our business trips. When we go to training, they're in my body bag, as we call it, our big bag with all our gear in it. I take these everywhere.
Nice.
I just don't ever really read them. And by the time, like, I think it's like 8 months later, I'm looking at it and there's like bends and there's like it's rubbed raw on the spine. I'm just like, these are trades, by the way. I'm not like jacking up his English. I'm just like, hey, bro. By the way, I did finish it. Great fucking story.
So good, yeah.
Go on Amazon and buy them all new trades. So he has the first 3 volumes all brand new. So.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think like a well-read comic, there's nothing nicer than seeing a comic that's, you can tell has been used, you know, has the little bends and stuff in there. It's so heartwarming to see that people have enjoyed it and been carrying it around with them everywhere. Which, if I can segue, I have a few that I can show you. So I had volume 1 of this, but I destroyed it so much that I actually gave it away and I need to rebuy it. But this series is called Low by Rick Remender, and the artist is, I won't be able to pronounce it, but I'm assuming it's Tocchini because he's Italian last name. So it's a hard C, I'm assuming. But this
what is
series,
it about?
It is basically like similar to BioShock, if you've ever played those games. Take that to the next level. Oh yeah, I've got BioShock tattoos for anyone that doesn't already know. I love that game so much. But that's also on sale on PSN at the moment if you want something cheap to play that's really fun. This is like the next version of that. So the whole world has gone to shit. There's been solar flares and it's unlivable on the surface and everyone's gone under the ocean. So you get all this like amazing, yeah, it's really cool. But they're running out of...
Sounds badass.
It's really badass. Yeah,
Low.
So like the art, if I can show you some, is like just incredible. Like, and it's all this underwater type, you know, civilization thing. And
Does anyone have superpowers?
That is beautiful.
They kind of have like, they're almost like big daddies. They can have, they've got like big weapons and stuff, but there's not necessarily superpowers. They've just like modified technology. But the whole idea is they're trying to, Remender has this reputation, I don't know if you have both heard this, he's similar to George R.R. Martin in that he has no qualms in killing off his major characters.
Yes,
So
I have
don't-
noticed that about him.
Don't get attached to anyone because there are a lot of sad deaths, but it is such an amazing series. I would really recommend it, and anything by him, in fact, is really good.
So reading this, I'll be able
I've-
to like look like a moron on airplanes where everyone's trying to sleep and I'm staring at a book and all of a sudden I'll go, and then
Yeah.
my neighbor looks at me and I'm like,
That's it. That's it.
I've only read Remender's Marvel stuff. I read his Punisher run, which was a mind fuck. Completely
Oh, yeah.
not what I would have expected. And then my favorite of his is actually his Uncanny X-Force, which is like almost Hickman-ish in its like completely unhinged, like dimension time messing with like out of this world shit. And I do remember there's a major death at the end that I was definitely not expecting. But
If you like that level of stuff, another one of his that has been getting a lot of traction lately and people are really enjoying is Black Science from Image.
Oh yes, I've heard great things about that.
Yeah, so I think they're up to like issue 38 or something, so it's pretty far in. There's about 7 or 8 volumes you can read, which is a good time for quarantining reading if you need something big to dip into. But that one is amazing artwork as well. I would super recommend it.
I'm gonna go pick up my trades. I see them right now. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Hold on.
Yes.
So Black Science.
Yep. Oh, he also did Tokyo Ghost, Deadly Class, which has been turned into a TV series that you can binge. He wrote Fear Agent, which everyone says is the best thing he's ever done. I've never read that one. But if you want anything to dig into, Remender is such an amazing writer. I would recommend anything of his.
So just to kind of show people, this is Black Science on Amazon.
Yep.
Here's the cover.
Yep.
And it looks pretty dope. It's definitely high on my list now. I was aware of it, but I mean, come on, we're talking about recommendations, so this is definitely going to be on point.
If you listen to our episode about Black Monday Murders and you read it and enjoyed it, this will be right up your alley. It's a very fun time.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So, George, you went and got something? What do you got?
Ooh, he's getting ready.
Ooh, a
hardback.
hardcover.
So I'm doing this thing, right? So there's a difference between the way me and Aaron collect. Judah. Codenames only.
Who's this Aaron
so,
guy?
Aaron. And you tell me which category you fall into, Reed. Maybe a little bit of both, but I feel like I'm more of a collector than a lover of stories. I feel. I don't know. Obviously, if I didn't enjoy the stories, I wouldn't be collecting them. But for Aaron, it's like it doesn't matter. He can have comic books that aren't in the plastic bags or boards or whatever, because he's bought the comic to read and to have. Right? So I've decided that I'm only going to buy hardback trades because they look cooler on the shelf. But
that's beautiful.
Having said that, look at this Lock and Key hardback. Now,
I'm so
Lock and
jealous.
Key, for anyone who doesn't know, I think like maybe the super nerds didn't know there was a show, and then maybe the people who only watch TV didn't know it was a comic book, and some people are like myself are somewhere in between. But this is on what is it? Amazon Prime?
Yes.
Lock and Key,
like
or is it on
Netflix.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
So the show Netflix has it. It was a comic book first, published by IDW. Now, if you're worried about not wanting to watch the show because you already read the books, I've only read most of Volume 1, and I'll tell you right now, the book and the show are different enough, just enough, to where if you're a diehard fan of it, then you just get to bitch about all the things the show got wrong, and or you can just enjoy the show as being something totally different, and you could just enjoy both.
And they're definitely totally different. I read the first 2 volumes. I'm actually waiting on the third one on Amazon because I dig. And this is Joe Hill, by the way. He's Stephen King's son, but you know what? I don't think of him as Stephen King's son anymore. He's very much his own. He's Joe Hill. He's his own guy. And
he changed his last name for a reason.
Well, he's not riding on the coattails. It's all his own merits. Most people don't really even know of him as Stephen King's son, which I think is cool. But this Lock and Key series is awesome. The show, it's taken me a few episodes to get into. It's just not really drawing me in the way the comic did. I don't think it's
I don't
as
think
scary.
we're the demographic. Yeah, I think it's more aimed at teens. That
Yeah.
television version. Yeah, it's a more PG version. Yeah.
And I
Kinda
guess
like,
I read.
Sabrina, all those kind of like YA,
Just like
17,
that.
18-year-old. Yeah.
Yep.
I read the comic as scarier. Like when I was reading the comic, I was like, this is freaky.
Yeah.
And the show doesn't communicate the scariness the same way,
That's right.
which is a little
Right.
little disappointing, but whatever.
Well, I think Rhi said it exactly right. The demographic is different. So there's a splash panel. Let's see. It'll be kind of spoilers, but I won't say who does what. But there's a splash page on in the comic book that has a bad guy getting a hatchet buried into his head, and you watch his face of like this, like kind of like with an axe and blood. You're not going to see that in the show. So
Right.
Yep.
and if they do, it's going to be in that kind of gimmicky TV.
Hide the gore away.
I think they did a good job of because there's a lot of concepts that Joe wrote and Gabriel Rodriguez illustrated beautifully, which would have been impossible to translate to screen unless they'd done it the way that they ended up doing it. Without putting spoilers in here, I think you both know what I'm talking about. But I think they're both. You can enjoy them both separately. Exactly what Robo said. You can read the comics and have a good time, watch the show and have a good time, and just enjoy them as separate pieces of entertainment.
Yeah, that's a very mature way to look at it. Either way, I second, or actually I third Rhi and what do you have there?
Yes. Oh.
Have you?
Look, so we were talking about this the other day.
It would not be
Yeah, no,
IFLC if we didn't praise Donny Cates.
That's right. So you know how when somebody's called a fanboy, they're like, I'm not a fanboy. And I'm like, but like we'll look at each other and like, are you a Donny Cates fanboy? It's like kind of embarrassing that you got these two dudes that you're in your 30s and you're fanboying Donny Cates. And we both look at each other and go, no, I love Donny Cates.
I love Donny Cates.
Wrong. So
Yeah, how can you not?
Funny you should bring him up because I'm rocking this right here as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I started Redneck and it's dope. I mean,
It
of
is
course
dope.
it's gonna be dope, but it's like totally, it spins the whole vampire genre on its head a little bit, and there's a lot of vampire tropes in there, but just imagine a bunch of hillbilly vampires now, and the life that they got.
Yes.
It's a story about family, which everyone's getting probably more than they want of right now. So it's definitely
Well said.
you know. And like not to jump around, but speaking of Donny Cates, I just got to show this off. Not only is Silver Surfer Black collected on trade right now, but it's collected on Treasury Edition. So it's huge with high quality paper, and you really just Trad Moore's work really just
Wow.
make me big for a second, George. Can you make me big?
Let's see, make you big.
Make me big.
Maybe double click on him.
Spotlight, is that a spotlight video? What we're doing here?
If you double click on his head, he might go big. Oh, there he goes.
Am I big? Okay. Just this work here. This work from Trad Moore is truly stunning, and this is a huge spoiler. Sorry,
Wow.
but just look at this. I mean, he's really one of my favorites right now as far as artists go. That's Trad Moore. He's on. He's not on Twitter for whatever reason, but Donny Cates is. And yeah, this really is just. This is one of my favorite Silver Surfer stories, and it's only been out for like a year. You know, it's not even that old. But yeah, it's really you could stop me from being big, by the way. But yeah,
I don't know how to do that. Let's see.
Oh shit! Do I have to stay big? Don't let me stay big.
Yeah, you might have to.
If you click gallery view on the top right, it should work.
I'm telling you right now. If you're home right now and you just want something amazing in every single way, I can't recommend this enough. This is the shit for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. I've got a few more actually that I can show you.
Ooh,
I was just,
well, let's see it. Can you
I
make me
don't
not
know.
big? I still look like I'm big right now.
I think
Is
you
it?
can change yourself on your end.
Oh, okay. I changed myself.
Gallery, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Good stuff. So we were trying to figure out between the three of us, I think, who our top 3 writers are at the moment, and it's very difficult because there's a lot of very good writers in the comic book industry at the moment. I think Robo
Clearly not difficult for us, but go ahead.
Hey Donnie, how you going? But
Yeah.
Judah and Robo, I think, are both obviously massive Donny Cates fans. I'm a massive Jeff. How did you pronounce it?
I think it's Lemire. Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
It might be Lemire.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I got it wrong, but I love your work so much. And he's written this amazing series called Descender. So I've got, I think, like 6 volumes of that here. And it's all about this little robot guy figuring his way through life. And it is one of the most heartwarming things I've ever read. Everything I've read of his, I've enjoyed. The same thing as Remender, where that he's a no-fail, you know, like anything you pick of his is you're basically going to enjoy. But the artwork, if I can show you some, I think a lot of it was done in watercolor. So it's got that really like hand-drawn type feel.
Nice.
There's a lot of really amazing, cool characters that come into
Ooh.
play.
That is nice
So,
looking.
Yeah, I would love this series so much. And they've just released a follow-up called Ascender, which is, I think, has 1 or 2 volumes out so far. So you can also follow it up with that if you want something to dive into. That's a good start for him.
Yeah, nice.
So I would have pronounced it Ascender. In Australia, is it Ascender? Is that what it is?
Well, it was funny when you were saying I miss Walmart. I was like, can't relate.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
right? Yeah.
this is a good time to bring up. We're showing you guys a lot of trades, and you know what? Kind of a dick move because your LCS is probably closed right now, which it should be. However, one thing that we found is that, and I can't speak for all the comic book stores, but our local comic book store is actually willing to mail you stuff, and you get it like right away. Like George, or excuse me, Robo Strange. What is your
Fake
experience?
names only.
We're only using pretend names. Yeah. Well, what is your experience been with that?
Hey, so Luke at our dealer, Dragon's Lair in Mililani, Hawaii. You're in. Hey.
Shut up.
Hey. Who's this dog in my studio? So I hit him up and I said, hey, can I help you out in any way? Can I order some comics from you guys? He goes, well, he's allowed to sell the March, everyone for Black Diamond. Black Diamond sent out one last shipment and gave the March 25th releases, they're allowed to sell. But depending on what city you live in, you might have already been shut down. Hawaii was shut down. California definitely shut down. But you can reach out to them. And I said, can I get what I need for the March 15th plus back orders? So I just gave him a whole list. He confirmed it with me. I gave him my credit card over the phone, and I got a box. And I posted it up on our Instagram. You can see, you know, everything I got. And I tell you what, I mean, let's be real. Part of it is, hey, good guy Luke, and the other part of it is, hey, I'm trying to pay my bills too. So hit up your comic book store. I guarantee they have bills to pay. And send them an Instagram, send them an email, and just be like, hey, can I order some trades? If you like any of the trades that we have, then you could call, you know, Instagram, DM them and say, I want to order some trades from you.
Try to resist the urge to give Jeff Bezos your money. I mean, I understand that it's easy, and maybe you have to. Don't feel too bad about it, but really, you know, it's we want our local comic book stores to stick around. We all do.
Actually, jumping on the back of that, if you don't mind, Judah, I know a lot of people have been put out of work and probably don't have a lot of money to spend. So even if you can't support your local comic book store, which is ideal, Comixology has just extended their free trial period from 30 days to 60 days. So you can always sign up for the free 60 days. And then if you don't like what you see, you can always cancel that account before they charge you. If you don't want to give money to Bezos, because I'm pretty sure that's a Kindle or Amazon subsidiary, it links together. But they have about 25,000 plus free comics that you can read if you sign up for that 60 day now, free trial period. So maybe that's a good thing to do while you're in quarantine, because we don't know how long obviously this thing's going to last.
During these times of crisis, it's really when the heroes emerge, you know what I mean, like the Comixologies of the world, you know, the people that have your back.
Maybe it's time for me to put in a new email address and a new credit card. I don't know. Yeah,
maybe that's something you can do if
We're
you've already got an account.
Not going to punish these people for being cool. But yeah, so you got options anyway. Hey,
So
rolling it along.
Watching,
oh,
Judah?
what have I been watching? I just watched a show called Hunters, and I really liked it. Have you guys watched that yet?
No.
Okay, so it's a complete fiction. It's historical fiction, but emphasis on the fiction. And it's basically the 70s, and a bunch of there's like it's like this vigilante team that hunts Nazis that escaped justice after World War II. And it's really
Sweet.
badass. It's super violent, really badass. There was some controversy about it because some of the atrocities that were depicted on the show, that there's flashbacks to like Auschwitz, and some of the things that the show showed are fictional. And actually, it was the Holocaust Museum in at Auschwitz. It was the Auschwitz Memorial Holocaust Museum that reached out and kind of criticized the show for creating those kind of lurid atrocities, because their perspective was that all these horrible things actually did happen. Why do you have to make shit up? It just kind of fuels some of the Holocaust deniers. And to be fair, I get where they're coming from. And, maybe that's a fair criticism, but looking beyond that, the show is awesome. It's really highly entertaining. It reminds me a lot of Inglourious Bastards. In some ways,
that movie.
so
My
if you
favorite,
like
I think.
if you like seeing Nazis get wasted, just fucking slayed, it's definitely a good show. And there's a twist at the end that I loved. So
Now I'm
definitely
intrigued.
recommend.
What about you, Robo? What are you watching?
Watching right now, I'm going through all of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
So old Judy here got me onto that. So he knew I had already loved Seinfeld, and then he's like, "If you like Seinfeld, you should probably watch the show of the creator." And I was just like, "Yeah, maybe one day." So I watched it. I was really mad that I had waited that long. Wow.
Can I tell you a fun fact? Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it's Larry David, right? He pushed so hard to get that riff, the Seinfeld riff in. The producers didn't want it, and he was like, "I will not allow the show to go ahead without it." So we wouldn't have had that bow, 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 without him.
For Seinfeld. Oh, wow. That's cool. That's really cool. Another fun fact that I'm sure like everyone, so if you know Larry David and you're a fan of Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm, I get it. Everyone's going to go, "No, duh, idiot. You didn't know that." But since I wasn't, I got to learn some new shit. So George's boss, the Yankees manager in Seinfeld, is voiced by Larry David, and I had no idea.
Oh, what?
yeah.
I had no idea either. Wow.
Yeah, so like if you imagine him, he's like, "Hey George," and you only ever see the back of his head. Like now I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, that's freaking Larry David," And so pretty awesome. Now
That's
here's the deal.
rad.
That's what I'm watching. So what did I watch? I'll tell you what the fuck I
Ooh.
watched. Tiger fucking King.
Oh, I know.
Tiger
But
King.
why do you think I'm wearing these
Yeah.
today?
Yeah. Do you just
Hey,
love
all you
cats?
cool cats
Do you
and
love
kittens.
cats? Cats don't belong in cages unless they're my kids.
Hey, kitty, kitty. Dude, that
Oh,
song is like
wow.
stuck in my head.
Okay, so I've got some facts about this that you guys may or may not know. There was a lot of things that were left out of the Netflix series, and I still have one episode to go, so that maybe there's things that I haven't seen yet. But all those music songs that he's put out, Joe Exotic, that is not him singing. Someone else is singing, and he's quietly murmuring over the top, and they're all written and produced by this other production company. So anyone that thinks he's got a decent voice should probably do some more research.
But he does sing at the funeral. He does sing at the funeral though.
Yeah.
Does.
And he's still
And
not bad.
He's
Yeah,
not bad,
that's true.
but he's definitely not as good as he was in those music videos.
Yeah, I agree. And he doesn't
Another fact.
write his own music.
Another lesser known fact that I saw online today, which it might, now that I remember it, it might be an April Fool's thing, so take it as a grain of salt, but look into this, you know what I mean? What was it, crocodiles or gators? I always get the two confused. The ones that died when that places burned down belonged to Michael Jackson, apparently.
What?
Just good.
Oh yeah,
yes.
I had heard that before today. I don't know if it's confirmed, but I heard it on Reddit.
Okay.
What?
Nothing.
Mind-boggling.
Everything you hear today on April Fool's Day, the National Day of Lies, could be a lie. So take it with a grain of salt. But
is that every country?
Yeah, it is for Australia.
Is it? Really?
Yeah, it is in here. Yeah, yeah.
So
I didn't prank
made my
anyone,
daughter
though.
cry this morning.
Did
That's
you?
My daughter I get all the time. This is the second time I've made her cry.
What happened?
This time or the first time?
What happened today?
Today, so I'll make it quick. She may have been scammed by somebody on the internet.
Oh, jeez.
And I won't go into details, but she's scammed, and it may have something to do with an actual bank. So this happened like 2 days ago. Me and her mom are mad, like, oh, how can you be so dumb? Blah blah blah. Okay. This morning I wake up, and let me tell you, short of the winter holidays, it's a weird thing, you know. Some people love Halloween and all that. Like, I love April Fools. So I wake up like nothing ever gets me on April Fools because I wake up and I'm like, it's time. So I text my daughter Celeste. I say, hey, did the bank call you? She says, no. She said they're gonna do an investigation and we'll see what happens. I'm like, okay, well, hope it's a lesson learned for you. Yeah.
100% you
said,
fucking with her.
Yeah, I said, hey, I had a special agent from the Department of Treasury call me today, and she's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. He was cool at first, but he was kind of a dick after a while. Listen, Celeste, I just want you to just be ready. I don't know what's gonna happen, but she was kind of a knucklehead when she was like a teen. She's 19, right? So when she was in high school, she was a knucklehead in Albuquerque. And I said the agent asked me about your character. I had to share with them some of the stuff that happened in Albuquerque, and she's like,
Oh my God.
oh, like what? Like, he asked me if I thought you were in on it. Like, were you scammed or are you trying to scam the bank? I'm gonna be honest with you. I told him I wasn't sure. It looks like they're gonna come to the house later. By the way, she has a kid. I'm a grandfather. I said, they're gonna come to the house later. I need you to make sure your mom is there so they can take Julian. Don't fight them. If they put you in cuffs, just go and make sure you don't lie. She goes, what do I have to do with any of this? I'm the one who got scammed. I don't understand. Why would I'm like, just calm down. And she goes, I mean, just call me whenever, let me know. She goes, okay. So I let it sit for about a minute, and I text her April Fool. She goes, I'm crying right now. Are you kidding me? Shorter story. Remember I said how she's a knucklehead when she was younger. I called her on video camera. I think she's like 14. And I'm like, hey, she had already got in trouble for something. I mean, she skipped school or something. And I said, and we're actually Skyping because she used to live in Florida with her mom. And I said, hey, listen, I'm sorry. Me and your mom have talked about it a long time. I actually did it with a straight face. I was like, so we're going to go ahead and send you to boarding school in Massachusetts. I'm really sorry. It's just the best thing for you. And she's like, boom, like she just found out somebody died. The camera falls on the ground. She's screaming, crying like the cat just died or something. And yeah. So I'm a bad person, but April Fool's is fucking great. It's great. But my kids love it. And then she laughed, and she's always like, oh, you got me again. And
I love that joy. I love how you wake up on April Fool's and you're like, it's time. I love how everyone has that holiday.
I always forget about April Fools.
Yeah. What's your favorite holiday, Judah?
Well, it's not Christmas because I'm a Jew.
Is it Rosh Hashanah?
But for people who love Christmas,
Segue.
or even people who don't, you made it too easy. I couldn't help it. And by the way, my favorite.
Does this mean that you're not going to answer a question though?
Passover, obviously.
Yeah.
I like Passover. But anyway, so this is an origin of Santa, and it's like immensely badass because it's by Grant Morrison, who you may remember from New X-Men and We Three and just Arkham Asylum, Serious House on Serious Earth, and probably one of the better Batman runs. But anyway, this guy's the shit. And this is like just violent and badass, just how I like things. There's this one. Oh, yeah, this is my favorite page. he's slaying the Krampus, going ho ho ho, and it's like so badass.
Yes,
But,
I love that.
You have to
Well,
read
who
this,
fucked
even
up the
if you,
bad little kids now?
huh?
Who
Well,
fucked up the bad little kids?
it's comics, man. It's comics. It's comics. You never
Hey,
know.
I've been reading a few of Grant Morrison's recently that I would like to recommend, but I don't have them physically. I'm just having a look on my Kindle now to tell you what they are. If anyone here likes Image Comics, which I'm super into, obviously these two boys are more into the big two. Of course. Everyone talks about, what's the one of his that everyone says is his best for Grant Morrison?
I mean, in my opinion, it's New X-Men, but
Nice.
But
I've been
on Image,
reading.
I'm not sure.
an
Well, I
Image, I'm
think
not sure.
Happy is one of his.
Oh,
So that's a
yeah.
Netflix
They
series
made
as
a show
well.
out of that, right?
Yeah, so that's got 2 seasons on Netflix, and you can also buy that anywhere. You can buy a comic book, and both of those are so good. It's got the guy from Law and Order. Is it Christopher Maloney? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the lead character in the Netflix series, and he is hilariously. It's very violent and gory. I feel like I should warn people, but that's also a recommendation if you like the Klaus book and you like Grant Morrison as a writer. It's really funny and gory.
Here it is, right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the one that's the show. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really
And-
bizarre and amazing. Like the show is everything I dreamed it could be and more.
So is the show a good companion or a good retelling or what?
Yeah. I think the show goes even because the series itself is very short. And the series is like 2 seasons long now, so it actually goes beyond the comic does. And I think it's been cancelled now, but what they tried to do was, because Happy was similarly to Klaus, it was about a serial killer Santa. So it was kind of like Christmas content in a sense, and so they tried to make season 2
like a real
about,
Santa or like a real person who's dressed as Santa?
a guy that dresses up as Santa that does the when they sit on the lap and that kind of stuff.
Morrison's Klaus is very heroic, by the way, just so everyone's know.
To balance it out. Okay, cool. So he
kills heroically.
That's amazing. In season 2 of Happy, they try and keep that holiday theme and they make it about Easter. So it's like season 1 is Christmas and season 2 is Easter, but they're both very, very good. I would recommend it.
Okay.
Speaking of Christopher Maloney, I was going to say, just real quick, speaking of Christopher Maloney, they just announced a spin-off of Law & Order that's going to center around Elliot Stabler, Christopher Maloney's character, and I'm all for it because he's the shit.
He's so cool.
Nice. Yeah. Huh.
Very
Oh,
cool.
now I know who you're talking about. I'm slow. It's okay.
Oh, yeah,
Now
he's the
I know
guy
the
with the butt.
character.
He's the guy with the butt.
Oh, that
We all
guy.
know. Yeah.
Why did you say that in the first place?
I once came up with like what I thought would be an amazing movie about Elliot Stabler, just called Stabler.
What's the plot of that?
Oh, so this is years after Law and Order, and Elliot Stabler, he's just become like kind of bitter and depressed, and he's running the SVU right now. And he finds out about this ring of like, it's like a human trafficking ring being operated out of Chechnya, and the department they have like people in the department they've paid off. No one will touch them. The CIA won't. Nobody, like, he tries to reach outside agencies. It's like nobody cares. And he rescues this one girl. Uses deadly force. He ends up getting reprimanded. He doesn't get thrown in jail, but he gets reprimanded for his use of force. So he leaves the police department entirely. He gives them his badge, and he goes rogue. And the entire movie is him in Chechnya hunting down and killing members of this human trafficking ring just by his lonesome. And, he calls in, he's got like some contacts that he's made over the years, but he's very much on his own. I want the last scene of the movie to be he's on a moving train, like he's about to kill the main guy, and he's basically in a shootout on a moving train where they're playing Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones during the scene. Like, it's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. I want this epic shootout to go down on this moving train. And then at one point, like, he's got like a radio. He's got a radio, and he hears like on the radio, like, "Hey, Elliot, look up." And he looks up, and it's Ice-T's character and what's her name? What was
His
captain,
female
right?
companion.
Yeah.
Agent Detective Olivia Bunsen or Olivia
There you
Benson,
go. There
and
you go.
she's up there.
Benson,
It's like
yeah.
his friends found out what we was doing. They've been following it on news reports, so they decided to come help. And they're out there, and like they're like
In
up in the
Chechnya?
helicopter. Yeah, in Chechnya, and it's like this awesome action scene where they finally take out all of the bad guys, and then the last scene is a post-credit scene where they're all sitting around a table, and Elliot's like smoking a cigarette. He's like, "I'm not done. There's a lot more assholes out there, and I'm gonna kill them all one by fucking one." And like Ice-T is like, "Oh fuck yeah, I'm all about this shit." Now Olivia's like, "Yeah, me too." And Bunch is there too, or Munch is there too, from Law and Order. And they're like, "Okay, well, I guess we're operating off the grid. What are we gonna call ourselves?" And then they're like, "Well, I think this time around, Law just didn't cut it, so we're gonna call this Task Force Order." And that's the end of the movie. And then the next movie is gonna be called Task Force Order.
Oh wow, I'm down. Take all my money.
I can't believe I just talked about this for the last 5 minutes, by the way. But
That's amazing.
And it's gone. The idea is gone. Somebody got it. You didn't copyright it. You didn't do it.
You just gave it away.
It's documented that I came up with it. So I have a case for it being my intellectual property if anything happens.
I love it.
Very nice.
You heard it here first. But
it was good. It was good until they all showed up. And then I'm like, yeah.
See,
I mean, you sold Rhi.
I'm sold. I'm sold.
If you're gonna jump the shark, you might as well do it with a fucking jetpack. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually a really good recommendation for anyone that's watching this and anyone that follows any of our stuff. Like, if you're stuck at home, now is a really good time to do some art and write some things and come up with ideas and write some music. I know Gwyneth Paltrow did some shitty tweet where she's like, "Yeah, you should write a book and learn an instrument or learn a language." And obviously,
is that the Steam Your Vagina lady?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the same same girl.
Steam Your Vagina. Ugh.
Yeah, look it up. It's
Jade Stones in your
that's
vagina.
That's it. Perfect.
I mean, I like vaginas as much as the next cishet male, cishet straight male, but steaming them still seems gross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of her products are woo based and are focused around the glorious vagina.
Yeah.
But
as it
in
should be.
very normally unhealthy ways. Foreign objects
Steaming
like
it?
jade stones. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre. I know, like,
anyways,
this whole quarantine thing is very anxiety inducing. I know everyone's freaking out and they're feeling the tension. I know I'm feeling the tension here. I'm sure you guys are anytime you step outside the house. So if it's a good way to release, you don't have to create for anyone but yourself. It's a good way to express yourself, and, maybe come up with some cool ideas that you hadn't thought of before because you're basically in a home-sized prison.
Start a YouTube channel. Nobody's doing that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like it.
I tell you what, talking about the quarantine, it's funny. When this whole thing started, about 2 weeks ago now, right? It's kind of like, hey, take it seriously, and then we're like, take it seriously. By the way, definitely want to go on record as if you listen to our last show and the way we were talking about this whole deal, we were wrong. I thought it would be over by now. I know we kind of been like, just wash your hands and you'll be fine. Like, this is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But as time goes on, I feel like in my head it's becoming an even bigger deal, and not even just for the actual hard data of how many people are dying and the projections and what the statistics are saying. I'm in the grocery store today, and there's marks on the floor for the lines where you have to stay 6 feet away from things, and then you got people I'm walking down an aisle, and then you got somebody I watched somebody come towards me and then turned around because nobody wants to pass each other in the aisle. Even me myself, I'm going down, and if we are gonna pass, I'm kind of turning myself towards the food, and there was music overhead, and then blah blah blah, songs on, and all of a sudden it goes silent. And instead of saying oh, don't forget the sale and blah 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 blah, it was a reminder to our grocers or whatever, to our patrons, maintain at least 6 feet from all people and practice safe and wash your hands. Like it was just like imagine like
Dystopian
the
future.
purge
Yeah.
announcement or some shit. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like
We're there. It's happened. The pandemic is here. So over here, I don't know if many people know about Australia. You can actually get. So we're in lockdown now, and if you go anywhere outside of what's deemed essential, which is groceries, medical supplies, you can't even visit your partner if you're not married and don't live together. You can be fined up to, I think, $11,000 in New South Wales. So just stay inside. It's not worth it. Stay inside.
for
Flatten
down
that curve.
here, I don't know if they've done anything federally, unless you know, Judah. Like the way
Nothing federal yet. This is largely governors that are
right.
handling
That's
this.
kind of I don't know. I'm super ignorant with like the way other countries run their actual government. But in the United States, ever since, I mean, really the big one was the Civil War. But the United States, you have states who act as like little mini countries, right? And so what they try to do is, and this constitutional rules behind it, but you can't make people of a state do a thing that the state already has the power to do. So, and there's always exceptions, right? Like martial law and stuff. But right now, it's really up to the state. So you might live in a state like Hawaii and California that's like can't go to the park, can't go to the beach, and cops are stopping people, and you have to show them a printout saying that you're going to work.
Wow.
They've arrested some people. Miami's been. I think Florida was late to the game. I want to say, don't quote me, but I think finally they closed the beaches, and then the spring breakers are still down there, and some people are taking it seriously, and some people aren't. So, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting time.
I definitely I want to double down on something that Robo said earlier. We were ignorant in our last podcast. We just didn't really know. We shouldn't have spoken about it since we didn't really know, but we did. And I want to augment that to include like full-throated apology. I hope nobody listened to us. It's very serious. It's an incredibly serious pandemic. And it's getting worse. The death toll, like not to get too negative, but the death toll is fucking skyrocketing right now. Yeah. People are dying.
To be fair, the information that's been coming out from the people that we're supposed to trust has been very convoluted and confusing. So it's not entirely, I wouldn't lay blame entirely on both of you for downplaying it or thinking it was less than what it was. It's very hard to understand what's happening right now. No one's really sharing information across the world properly, it seems. So we're getting facts and then getting corrected facts. So I don't know, you just basically have to question everything you read and try and broaden your news outlets.
The official position of IFLC right now is stay the fuck home.
Yeah, stay the fuck home.
Stay the fuck home. And what a wonderful segue. We actually, there was actually a PSA recently.
Oh yeah. Do you want to talk about that one thing as you were the creator and what happened, Judah? What did you do?
Rhi, can you bring it up while I'm talking about it? Yeah. So we've partnered with Robo and Rhi, the Silver Surfer, who we actually are very close with, but he went ahead and did us a solid and released a public service announcement. Oh, great dude, great fucking dude, yeah. He just did a public service announcement telling people to stay home and respect the virus, because while he might wield the power cosmic, we don't. And we tweeted it, we posted it on Instagram and Facebook, but actually got a pretty good amount of attention. And I'm
just waiting for it to load my sad Australian internet.
Donnie Cates actually retweeted it, and then CBR actually wrote like an article about it. So this PSA actually got pretty good amount of traction. Rhi
it's
has
very
it right
well
now.
done. Yeah, it's very well done. So this is the article if you want to have a look on cbr.com. Judah took this image.
Should be in there.
Yeah. So if you want to have a watch
Galactus did a response, and I wonder just how sincere he was about it. I feel like he's trying to undermine Robo and Rhi.
Oh, Galactus?
Oh yeah, like you could just tell in his voice he wasn't serious.
Yeah, I've never fully trusted Galactus.
Yeah.
There's
He's-
no audio, but yeah,
You want to
he
unmute
looks great.
that?
Do you want audio?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Start it over just for everyone.
Can you hear that?
Nobody can hear it. I can't hear it.
Nope.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I don't want you to spend too much time messing
Well, I
with
mean,
it. But,
we're gonna throw this video up on YouTube. When you're done, at the end of this video, you'll see a link to it. Click it,
Yep.
watch it, and then
Yep.
pay attention and do what he fucking said. Yeah.
and who would have known that the Silver Surfer was so good at guitar too? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's why I
Really
wanted
good.
the sound. It's really worth going to check out. Actually, while I've got the screen, what I've been watching, sorry, this is a weird segue, but I've been catching up on the Dark Crystal, and there are heaps of comic books.
Speaking of COVID-19,
Really?
talk to Dark Crystal.
I know, right? Seeing as we're in a dystopian dark future.
Are these the ones that
There you
Gwyneth
go,
Paltrow
yeah.
sticks in her vagina, or?
These
no?
are the ones,
The
yeah.
Dark
The very
Crystal,
same.
Okay.
So if you do like Jim Henson, I love Jim Henson. One thing that you two maybe don't know about me yet is I really love puppets. I love puppets no matter what it is. I love practical effects, so Ash vs. the Evil Dead, that kind of stuff. That's right up
Yeah.
my alley. I love when they do it all, make it all. And Dark Crystal, even though it was cheaper for them to do purely CGI, they decided that in the series that they would continue with puppets. And a lot of people have probably already seen season 1 already, but if you haven't, you need to watch it. It's on Netflix. It's amazing. It has a lot of the ex-Game of Thrones cast doing voice work. So you've got a really powerful cast in there doing voices, but Mark Hamill's in it. Who else? Big powerhouse. Eddie Izzard.
Is this a sequel or a reboot of the original Dark Crystal?
It's a prequel to the original.
Oh.
Yep.
So let me
Yeah.
give you a flip side. First of all, yes. A second, go watch it. But I don't like puppets. Like I didn't watch it. I'm sorry. I didn't watch it really because of that. It was just kind of like I saw some of the trailers. I'm like, eh. And so I'm like, okay, I'm kind of running out of stuff to watch. Let me. Everyone's talking about this Dark Crystal. You forget that they're puppets. Like they did such a good. It's really good. And the story's good. And there's a little. Everybody has to have their Baby Yoda. Although this came out way before Mandalorian, but Baby Yoda's great. But there's a baby kind of character in there who's trying to become a knight, and so he's great. I forget his name.
Voiced by Taron Egerton. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but very good. Yep.
Color me intrigued. I'll be honest. I thought I was better than it, but it actually looks pretty cool.
There's
comics.
Yeah, there's comics. There's a whole bunch of comics. If you want to give those a go, I've heard they're pretty good. But the art style is obviously amazing. It's that whole fae type high fantasy thing. If you're into that thing, but
Let's see what kind of
which
creators
is my
they got
thing.
here.
I don't know why I
Who's
waited so long to watch it.
Who writes
if
and
I'm out-
illustrates this?
well, at the moment, I can't tell you that because I guess if I click on one of these, I can tell you. So I'm on Comixology at the moment. Let's just have a look and
It
see.
should say in the description. But
So we've got Simon Spurrier.
There you go.
ooh, Simon Spurrier. That's the guy. He actually wrote he wrote The Spire, which was recommended to me by
I read
Michael
that one.
Malone.
That's
And
really
it's
good.
Yeah.
really good. So he's definitely a writer that I trust. Art by
Nice.
Kelly Matthews and Nicole Matthews.
There you go,
And
there's
these are
some stuff that he's done.
these are not people I'm familiar with. But,
Oh, Cross.
That's-
That's like your favorite.
Yeah.
Well, I've
There you
only
go.
read Garth Ennis crossed. I haven't read any Simon Spurrier crossed. So maybe it's
No.
better.
I've heard good things about too. So anyone that follows our indie Facebook page, Michael posts a lot of cool stuff, and Coda is one of the ones that he's been into recently, and the artwork looks incredible. So that's pretty fun. Looks like he's done a lot of good stuff. But I'll stop sharing now. I just wanted to segue into some of the stuff that I've been watching. I've also been watching Outsider. I don't know if anyone is a Stephen King fan here, but
I
now's
am,
the
but I haven't
time.
read that.
I have heard that that's good. Another one is Ozarks. That's another
so-
name I just keep getting thrown out.
Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting that you mentioned that one in conjunction because they both have episodes that star and are written and directed by Jason Bateman.
Oh,
Oh,
So he is like in the first 2 episodes of The Outsider, he directs and is like a prominent character. And the way that they filmed it is really interesting. All the perspectives are sort of through, like you're almost peeking in through a window or peeking in through a door frame. So you feel like an outsider when you're watching it. All the cinematography is really amazing. Yeah, I would really recommend it. It's a very good thriller.
Very
I
nice.
will have to
Very
check
nice.
that out.
Is anybody playing video games? Am I the only video game dork here? Are you?
What are you playing?
What are you playing?
So I decided to fire up my VR, and I got LA Noir.
Oh, you like that game?
Yeah, great game. But I got
LA
it in
Noir?
VR. Yeah, I like it.
I finished it. It was all right.
Is it better in VR? I played it. I played it through back when it came out years ago, and I was just like, it's kind of bored by it. It just was like, it's a clever idea for a game, but
yeah, for sure. But I'm trying to figure out how they're gonna do the driving around, and like, I mean, if they had GTA VR, I would have got that, you know. But you also gotta like, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I haven't really dove into it. I bought it straight up just based off of like very shallow nostalgia. I'm like, Eleanor, VR, get in that.
Nice.
Do
you have any other VR games? Ooh, Super Hot. I love that one.
Super Hot. Yeah, that one. Any other VR games? Let's see. Oh my gosh, Moss.
Ooh.
If you can get a VR game, and you're like, I'm only gonna get one forever, and I'll never buy any other game. Get Moss. Moss is super cool. Think three-quarter side scroller ish, right? But imagine you go to a shop that sells miniatures and they have a little fake village set up, right? Imagine you're a kid and you walk up to this fake village and you look down and into the fake village, right? And the imagination of having a little tiny figurine and you're making them run around, and right, that's how Moss plays. So Moss is, you're this like this giant spirit kind of helping this little guy get through, and the visuals in VR is you're sitting down looking over this landscape and you're controlling the little mouse who's trying to be a knight and all this stuff, and you're controlling him, but then there's some like things and obstacles that you have to actually get through, and then with your deals as the giant spirit, reach into the world, pull things around, very puzzle based, and you got to figure out the world in order to do it. So yeah,
that sounds really fun.
It's a really great game. It's very entertaining. Very interesting.
The two games I'm most excited about right now is Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
and
that's not till September.
I know, and The Last of Us. I've been waiting for The Last of Us for years. Like, for fuck's sake, the first one is one of my favorite games.
Same.
It's about time.
Yeah. I have a feeling that one will be delayed again, and I would happily have it be delayed for years and years, as long as it's as good as the first one. And from what I've seen so far, it looks as good, if not better. So I'm pretty pumped.
I have no doubt it's going to be outstanding.
I think my heartstrings aren't quite ready. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be emotionally devastated again.
Oh my God. The first one, I was not expecting to be sitting there like, but like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It was my friend. Like, I have one of my best friends, Cheyenne, lives in Virginia, DC area. And, he called me once years ago and he was like, dude, he talks like this. He was like, hey, dude, he's like this burly, manly man. He was like, I'm telling you, man, you have to play The Last of Us. I cried. And I was like, what? Like, not what I would expect.
You cry in like the first half hour. The first half hour is like, gets me every time. I don't know how people can get through it without tearing up.
Yeah.
And that's not his personality. Like, he's not I cried guy. So it was just really funny to me. I was like, what? And I'm telling you, there are at least 4 parts that get you. Yeah.
Yeah. And the worst part of it is that, and the game's been out for a while, and so spoilers, if you haven't, just go ahead and skip forward like 5 minutes and go get the game. But I think what really gets you about that game is the fact that it makes you believe that you can do anything about it. Like you're controlling. You're pressing with this anxiety and this emotion of like I need to get there to do this thing, and you're pressing your joysticks as hard as you can, but the game's like, no, bitch, you're gonna cry.
No, bitch.
It really is just a masterpiece.
It's a fascinating discussion too about like, and I guess it's really appropriate for now because it does feel like the end times. Would you save all of humanity, or would you save those closest to you if you had to make that decision?
Those closest to me. Yeah, that's an easy choice.
Interesting. There you go.
Not even a. Yeah, me and Mylene, she's pacing in the background because she wants to make dinner. It's getting late.
Nice.
It's gonna get loud.
Actually, I'll share my screen again because I just wanted to show you there are comics for this as well. So if you do want to read the Last of Us comics, there's one called.
I did not. Wow.
They're very good.
Know that. Written by Neil Druckmann. Is he the guy who wrote the? Yes, he's the guy who wrote the game too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's the same game writer. Yeah.
Dark Horse does like most of the licensed stuff ends up being Dark Horse.
The video game ones, yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that's a recommendation as well. And if you haven't played the prequel-y type DLC where it's Ellie before she meets Joel and she has a little relationship with another girl, and that's when the sort of reveal happens that she's gay. So that one is super heartbreaking and heart-wrenching as well, and it's a quick precursor if you want to test run it before you see if you want to try the whole game to see what the mechanics and stuff are like.
You know what? I'm going to replay all of The Last of Us. I'm going to play the bonus content, which I've already played, but I'm going to play it again. And I'm going to read all the comics. That's my quarantine project to psych myself up for The Last of Us too.
That's rad. I will have to give
I'll report back.
My Animal Crossing machine a break.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
Everybody else, yeah. So if you're not playing it, you should be. The other thing is Nintendo rarely puts their games on sale because they're pretty good. They're a pretty good company. I think we can all agree they're decent. But they do have on sale on the Switch store at the moment, Octopath Traveler is half price, which is a really great RPG. If you're into sort of the old school Pokemons where it's like isometric and it's that kind of like pixely type artwork, it's that, but it's adult storytelling. So I would recommend that as well if you have a Switch. But as I mentioned before, if you have a PlayStation 4, BioShock Collection's on sale for like $10 or something ridiculously cheap. And if you haven't played that, or if it's been a while, give it a go because it holds up and it is one of the best games you'll ever play in your life.
Yeah. Animal Crossing. Is that what you're playing right now?
On Switch, yeah.
Everybody's all about Animal
Crossing
watching
it while playing it. I can't bring myself. Like I've seen it. It's like cool. It sounds. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like the perfect time killer.
It is exactly that.
Like this way Sims just kind of sucks you in and like oh my god.
It's similar to like Stardew Valley and that kind of. It's that kind of feel where it's like nice and chill. You can zen out. Yeah.
How much more advanced than Candy Crush is it? Because that's kind of where I'm mentally categorizing it.
Not very.
No.
You can put it in that sort of like it is literally just like you can watch a show and play the game at the same time kind of.
Turn your brain off and enjoy this little world that you get to build yourself.
Yeah. That's it. Okay. So maybe a break between comic reading, might be nice.
Yeah, I can't like I envy the time that Judah puts into comic books because I can't fit it all. So you got real life, then you have video games, which are a big part of my life, then comics, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah, it's a big hobby share, isn't it? That's always a struggle.
So you just do tons of cocaine and you just don't sleep? No, I'm just kidding.
You just watch Tiger Kings and you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
By the way,
what a great documentary.
So great. It was so weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Sorry. Comixology does have some stuff on sale as well. So even if you don't want to sign up for, and Kindle as well, I've noticed has a fair bunch. If you're wanting to stay inside and there's no way that you can support your local supplier, those are maybe two other options that you can do. what movies and stuff are we going to miss out now that this is happening? I know Mulan's been delayed.
Mulan's
Yeah.
been delayed. New Mutants has been delayed. Has been delayed.
Inhumans, is that coming out soon?
What's it called? Black Widow's been delayed.
Black
Oh,
Widow's
wow.
been delayed. Yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heck, I don't know. You have some people who made the choice of going direct to digital, like Invisible Man. We're probably gonna watch tonight.
I've seen that. It's amazing. It's really
Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good.
Probably, but they chose to go from theater to do $20 rentals on various platforms. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would have wanted that for like Black Widow or Wonder Woman, or I don't know what
Those
Wonder
are big
Woman.
screen movies.
Yeah, I was like, I don't, because I know I wouldn't have the self-discipline to not watch it. I would watch it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
watch
It's
the
not
first
just-
time watching it is in the theater. Yeah.
It's not just the size of the screen. It's not just the awesome audio. It's also the excitement of seeing a new Marvel movie with a bunch of other people that are excited about seeing a new Marvel
Yeah,
movie.
it's the vibes. It's the crowd
Yeah.
There's an
atmosphere.
experience
Yeah.
involved. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the nostalgia, the popcorn smell. It's just like there's something cinematic about it, and
Yep.
Yeah.
it is what it is, you know. Anyway,
Especially if you go to the midnight or whatever. Yep. It's a good
Yeah.
time.
Hey, let me get all the regular stuff out of the way. This is obviously going to be up on YouTube. We'll throw it out on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit the bell, all the normal stuff that you're supposed to say as a YouTuber, because I think YouTube is listening, and that affects your algorithm. That's a good thing. Check us out on Facebook, which is our
your algorithm.
biggest algorithm, brother. And check us out on our Facebook. We have tons of groups from Marvel and DC. There's no tribalism there. We love them all. Indie groups. And then we even have some other nerd culture stuff for video games and movies and everything else that you can imagine. We're up on TikTok. You want to see those Silver Surfer stuff? I have a feeling that our primary big brain creator, Judah Rad over here, is gonna throw some awesome some rock and roll, as the kids call it. He's probably gonna show up on TikTok, but anyways, that's our deal. If you wanna see more of this, we also got a Patreon because we like money and things stuff for free. You know, sometimes stuff.
Be our best friends. Come on. Love you guys. Anyway, everybody stay safe, and just stay sane. We gave you guys some suggestions. Give us some suggestions because we're trying to stay sane too. I mean, look at me. I'm wearing this fucking hat. You know what I mean? I've lost it.
That's ridiculous.
So, yeah, we love you guys, and keep it going.
Free Tiger King.
Keep